Let's go, Dolphins! The cracks are showing, and what's happening within this team should have all fans on high alert. From stupid captaincy moves to coaching decisions that make no sense, and a front office that somehow still has job security, it's not just about losing games, it's about losing control. Stay tuned, because in the next few minutes, I'll uncover the true reasons behind Miami's 0-3 start, and it's worse than you imagine. But before we begin, if you followed the Dolphins through decades of disappointment, click like right now and leave a comment. Go, Dolphins! We deserve better. Let's go. Now, let's dive straight into the disaster that was Week 3 against the Buffalo Bills. Miami had a real shot, tied at 21 with 10 minutes left in the fourth. Tua had just led a touchdown drive to even the score. Momentum was building. The defense stepped up with 3 straight stops. It was our moment. And what did we do with it? Threw it away in classic Dolphins fashion. Zach Sealer, a captain no less, went for a punt block and got flagged for roughing the punter. Was it borderline? Maybe it should have been called running into the kicker, a 5-yard penalty instead of 15. But let's be honest, you can't even give the refs the chance to make that call. Mike McDaniel later said they weren't trying to block the punt, just speed up the punter's process. Really? Because they lined up with 8 guys on the line of scrimmage. That formation screamed punt block, and it backfired hard. If they weren't going for the block, then what the hell was Sealer doing? This is not some rookie mistake. We're talking about a veteran leader on defense. His lack of discipline handed the Bills a fresh set of downs in crunch time. Game over. But it doesn't stop there. Let's talk about the offensive line. Fans have been slamming this unit, and honestly, it's justified. The Dolphins made a mid-game switch at right guard. Kean Smith started again, but after 36 snaps, they pulled him and brought in Daniel Brunskill. Why? According to McDaniel, it was a matchup-based decision to help the run game. But let's call it what it is. They were desperate. And here's the problem. Neither Smith nor Brunskill looked like NFL-level talent. Smith graded out horribly, 24.1 overall, with a 26.7 run block grade. But he actually had better pass protection than Brunskill. No pressures allowed. 1 penalty. Meanwhile, Brunskill was marginally better in the run game but gave up 2 pressures. We're splitting hairs between 2 linemen who are both struggling, and that's not okay for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. It's Week 3 and we're already scrambling to figure out who's less terrible at right guard. That's the kind of decision that should have been solved in the offseason, not mid-game. And then there's the play that really encapsulates this mess. On the interception thrown by Tua, Daniel Brunskill got beat so badly, it looked like he thought it was a run play. At the snap, while every other offensive lineman dropped back into pass protection, Brunskill lunged forward. Rookie Deion Walker hit him with a swim move and was past him before the receivers even crossed the line of scrimmage. That's not just a mental error, it's a total breakdown in execution and awareness. You can't have that in a tie game on the road. These are the kinds of details that cost you wins, and possibly seasons. And speaking of breakdowns, let's get into Jonah Savaiania. This guy might be worse than Liam Eichenberg. I'm serious. Through 3 games, Savaiania has been one of the worst offensive linemen in the NFL. Back-to-back weeks with a pass-blocking grade of 0.0. That's not just bad, it's unheard of. I don't even understand how Pro Football Focus gives someone a 0. Did he lose every single rep? Maybe not, but that's how bad it looked. He allowed 5 pressures again and had another penalty on a crucial down. For a rookie? Fine, we get that there's a learning curve, but you can't be this unplayable. And no, the offensive line isn't the only reason we lost to Buffalo. But when it mattered most, late in the fourth quarter, the line collapsed. Just like Week 2, Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Christian Barmore, these guys consistently beat our front in critical moments. And that's what separates the playoff teams from the pretenders. Now let's move to the defensive side, because the frustration doesn't end there. Chop Robinson, just 22 snaps in Week 3. The defense played 61 total snaps, and Chop was out there for barely a third of them. I get it, he's dealing with a knee injury. But even before that, he hasn't been the impact player we expected. Through 3 weeks, he's been a complete non-factor. We were promised a 2nd-year breakout from him, and what we've gotten instead is a ghost. He's not playing enough. He's not making plays. And worst of all, he's not even showing flashes. This is a guy who looked like he was ready to become elite last season. What happened? Is he still hurt? Did last season flatter to deceive? Whatever it is, it's one of the biggest disappointments of the year. You can rank them easily. Number 1, Chop Robinson being invisible. Number 2, Jonah Savaiania looking like a bust. Number 3, injuries to James Daniels and Austin Jackson derailing everything before we could even build chemistry. Let's pick up right where we left off, because there's still plenty of frustration boiling over in Miami, and fans deserve the full picture of what's happening with this team. Chop Robinson's ghost-like presence through the first 3 games is alarming, no question. This was supposed to be the year he made the leap. Many insiders believed he was set to emerge as one of the premier young edge rushers in the league. Instead, he can't even stay on the field. And when he is on the field, he's not making an impact. 22 snaps in week 3. That's unacceptable for a player who was pegged to be part of a rotation with Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. Even if the coaching staff is trying to keep the edge rushers fresh, at some point, talent has to trump conditioning. You don't rotate a star out of the lineup in crunch time, you ride them. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe Chop's not viewed as a star anymore internally. That's a frightening thought, because if Chop isn't the guy, and if Jonas Savaiania is a bust, and if the offensive line is a weekly experiment, then what exactly is this team building toward? How can Mike McDaniel be expected to run his high-octane offense if the foundation is this shaky? And speaking of foundations, we can't ignore the bigger picture anymore. The front office has failed to build a reliable trench unit on either side of the ball. Chris Grier's fingerprints are all over this mess. How long do we keep watching the same cycle play out? Promising talent, flashes of brilliance, critical meltdowns, injuries, patchwork lineups, and in the end, mediocrity. Grier has overseen all of it. He's drafted the players. He's signed the free agents. He's made the depth chart look like a game of roulette. And every time the team starts hot, like last season, it's only a matter of time before the cracks show. We're watching those cracks widen every week, and if changes don't happen soon, this whole structure is going to collapse again. And look, Mike McDaniel isn't blameless here either. That call to line up for a punt block against Buffalo in a tie game in the fourth quarter? Pure recklessness. Even if the plan was just to pressure the punter without actually going for the block, you're giving a guy like Zach Sealer, who plays at full throttle, an open door to make a critical mistake. That's poor situational awareness. That's poor coaching. You're playing in Buffalo. It's hostile. Your defense finally got to stop. Just get the ball back to Tua and trust your offense. Instead, McDaniel rolled the dice and lost big. This isn't the kind of football that wins in January. It's not the kind of decision-making that gets you to the Super Bowl. And it raises a very uncomfortable question. Is McDaniel trying too hard to be the smartest guy in the room? We've seen this story before. Coaches overthinking, mismanaging personnel, and ultimately burning out because they couldn't adjust to the reality of the team they actually have, not the one they wish they had. Let's also talk about the emotional toll this is taking on the fans. We've been patient. We've endured rebuilds. We've supported the rise of Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, and the explosive offense. But when your team shows signs of life and then folds under pressure, it's demoralizing. Especially when it feels avoidable. You watch the offensive line buckle late in games, not for the first time, and you realize this isn't a one-off problem. It's systemic. Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Christian Barmore all had game-altering moments against our line. And in each case, Miami had the ball with a chance to take control, and instead, they gave it away. There's no sugarcoating it. This team is in trouble, and unless someone takes accountability fast, the season will slip away before we hit mid-season. Let's close this out by circling back to Jonas Savaiania, because this might be the single most urgent issue on the roster. This is a guy who is literally putting Tua's health at risk every time he's on the field. Back-to-back games with a 0.0 pass blocking grade? That's not just bad. Asterisk, that's dangerous. Asterisk, you cannot run an NFL offense when your right guard gets beat instantly off the snap. If that continues, we're going to be talking about Tua's durability again, and that's the last conversation any Dolphins fan wants to revisit. So what do you do? Do you slide him back to right tackle where he has more comfort from his Arizona days? Do you